days till Spain. We packed. Officially 9 days until Spain. I just finished packing today, actually. Next week, guys, let's go. Okay, Mom, it's officially 8 days. How are you feeling?
Very anxious and agitated.
5 days until Spain, Mom. How you feel?
No, I'm pissed off.
5 days. It is now 4 days until Spain. Guys, Spain is in 3 days. Let's go. 2 days till Spain. That's a few hours before Spain, guys. I'll see you in the morning. Hey guys, Jay here, and welcome to my channel, Simple J Language. And in this channel, I will be talking to you about the best ways to learn a language and the best ways to immerse yourself within the language that you choose. So, I've been studying language since I was 9. I am multilingual and pretty diverse. The first language that I learned fluently was American Sign Language, and then came Spanish. And last year I studied abroad in Spain through a sponsorship that I achieved. In my experience studying abroad, I never studied before. I never got to leave the country, and no one in my family ever did either. So I was 17 years old and I was leaving the country by myself. Basically, the number one key to learning a language is, of course, finding the language that you're connected to. Language to everyone, you know, you're connected to it. And for me, when learning a language, you want to find a language that you're comfortable with. So when I started learning Spanish, I started learning Spanish for the purpose of that I wanted to teach other people how to speak English using my language capabilities. Now, I lived in Spain for 6 weeks, and I know for a lot of people that sounds like that's not enough time to be fully immersed, but when you're living there every day and you're meeting other people, then, you know, what I always said to myself was the name of the goal is to be able to blend in, and that's what I like to do. So when I lived in Spain, I did have a host family. I was roommated with many other boys in this house, so the whole experience was very chaotic, but I learned to adjust quickly. Now, if you choose to study abroad, the program that I went through was EF, Education First. I will link their website in the description below if you guys want to check it out. Now, I found this program when I was 15, and I'm telling you, since I was young, I always wanted to leave the country and study abroad, and it took a lot of work, and it took a lot of convincing my mom, because it was something that I was gonna do that no one has ever done before in my family, especially financially. It was something that we couldn't do. So I had to work really hard for it. So all I have to say is, if you want to study abroad and you don't have the finances, there is a way. There is sponsorships, there is people you can talk to. I'll even play a clip of when this program chose to pay for this whole thing for me. It was an amazing experience.
We lied because we don't have questions for you. We have the money for you. Yeah. Sorry to lie again. So, how fun is that? So you better secure your spot, because you're going abroad, bud. You are going abroad. How fun is that? Yay. We're so excited for you. We cannot wait to see what you do and all that you learn, and we're so excited. Yes, we're so glad to partner with you in this way. We love your story, and we're just excited for you. Okay?
I had to go and speak and just tell them who I am and why this is so important to me, and that's what I'm going to be telling you guys here today. So a year ago, I was in search of help and just wanting to study and wanting to have that full immerse experience, because I believe that when learning a language, it's important to be able to immerse yourself. There's other ways to immerse yourself by listening to TV shows in your direct language that you have chosen, listening to music, reading books, things of that. But for me, I've always just felt like I needed to leave and just explore something really big. So at first I was going to choose to live in Barcelona, Spain, and then my Spanish teacher had told me that Malaga, Spain is where she had studied, and it taught her so much, and it's a beautiful place. So a year ago, I jumped on a plane, July 4th of 2022. I jumped on a plane by myself, never ever believing that I would be doing such experience, especially with, you know, like I said before, financial issues. But now, looking back, it has helped me so much and helped me improve. So if you ever choose to study abroad, make sure that you take full advantage of your experience. Make sure that you are there for that study, because at some points I got distracted, and at some points I wasn't doing what I should have been to help me improve with my language skills. Now, I just want to say for anyone who's going to study abroad, again, that you take advantage. And I'm saying that again because my first 2 weeks being in Spain, I was very isolated to myself. I would go to school and I would come back home to my home family, and I wouldn't leave the house. I would stay in the house studying all day. But I want everyone to know that staying in the house and studying, as much as it's going to help you, it's not going to improve your language capabilities, because of the fact that you have to get out there and you have to be able to speak and communicate. You know, one of the most important things about learning language is learning how to communicate and understand. So if you're not being active in that, it's just not going to happen. Now, after I finally was able to find my routine and jump into it, I quickly assimilated to, you know, the country and their culture, and I finally was able to find a routine for myself. When I got to go to school, when I came home, you know, when I had time to be able to go out and just explore the country. And that is the most important thing, is to make sure you go out and explore and have fun and enjoy the whole experience. I made a lot of friends there. Now I went to an international school. I do not know the name of it, so I will link it down below, and I'll even put up some photos of my school. It was amazing. Living in Spain, I didn't, during classes, I wouldn't particularly participate in classes. I was too nervous and I felt insecure about the way I talk and my, you know, communication, because it seemed that, you know, although I was reaching such high level from A1 to B1 in such, you know, 6 weeks, I was, you know, it didn't take me long to become so fluent in the language. Especially when I came back home, I worked in an environment that had a lot of people that spoke that language. So it was really good for me, and I was able to quickly adapt and improve. Now, like I said, during classes, I would always take notes. I had so many notes, but it didn't do anything if you didn't participate. You know, so make sure that you participate, and making friends really helps. But another thing you're gonna find when studying in a European country is that majority of the people around you are going to speak English if you speak English. So if you ever have a worry, or that you'll never be able to get around, or if your language capabilities aren't as up to date as they should be, then you will be able to get around. Now, that was one of the biggest mistakes. So another thing, if you're in school, or if you study abroad at an international school like I did, want to speak in that language. That was one thing that I struggled with, was that I was there to learn Spanish, but everyone spoke to me in English, so I was quick to want to respond to them in English, when the whole purpose is to immerse yourself and really just, like I said, pretend you're one of the people, you know. And the whole name of the game for me was blending in, you know, going into, you know, shops in the market and just being able to check out and have conversations with the cashiers or people working in the retail stores. It's amazing for you to see that and experience that. So that's another thing that I find very important, is to stay in that language and don't get trapped in speaking into your native language, because you're there to experience something different and to be part of another culture. So you really want, because if you want to leave that country with a lot of knowledge and improved language skills, that is what you want to do, is be immersed. So that's another thing. Stay speaking in that language. Do not speak in your native language, no matter how hard it's going to be, you know, because you'll find struggles or there will be words that you don't know, but you want to try your best and you want to keep at it. A lot of people have asked me, what do I need? What do I need? Is there anything specific that I need? So for me, having an amount of money to spend over there was a big deal too, being that whenever I would buy something, there would be an international fee. So it depends on what bank you reside with or what you're paying with. So if you were to do a money exchange, there's so many money exchanges. You can even find them in the airport before you know, head off or your plane heads off. I did a money exchange in the Netherlands on my at my international flight, and I will say it's very expensive to do such exchange. So I personally would recommend not doing a money exchange because it's very costly. So the mistake that I made is, the best option for you before you leave is to do a money exchange with your bank. So if you're able to request the type and currency that you want, which for me was euros. They can get that money for you as an exact change, and it won't be like so expensive as it was using or trying to get an exchange at an ATM in another country. Now, I will say my favorite part about the experience was being able to fly to other countries to get to where you're supposed to be. So in total, I took 6 flights. My first flight was from where I'm from, which is Maryland, and to Detroit, Michigan. And then for my flight to Michigan, I went to the Netherlands, which is where my international airport was. And that's where I did my money exchange. Now, I will say you're not allowed to leave the airport. I don't recommend leaving the airport, because once you leave, you cannot go back through checkout. But definitely look around and look out the windows, because you'll be able to see all types of things from the window. I also recommend that if you want to take photos, take as many photos as you want. My only thing is that you're going to get a lot of people in your photos. So unless you're amazing at editing and you can get those people out, I personally recommend buying a photo booklet in the country that you are heading to. When I finally arrived in Spain, I was exhausted, because when you take so many plane rides and there's so, the time zones are switching back and forth, it's very exhausting to your body. So you want to get rest on that first day. I didn't. The first day that I arrived, which I was actually a day late, so the first day I arrived, I missed the whole introduction, I missed the tour, so figuring out what bus I had to take and stuff relied on me asking my roommates. All of my roommates spoke English besides 2. I had, by the way, I just want to say that everyone's going to have a different time there than you. So for me, I arrived and I wasn't leaving for 6 weeks, while other people who arrived at the same time as me were there but weren't leaving for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So to make those connections, you just want to make sure that you don't get so attached, because I did, and it became upsetting and it feels like a loss, but you always can stay in contact with them through social media and messaging. So that's very important, to make sure you get contact information if you find someone really close that you want to continue to talk to. So for me, it was a sad, like for me it felt a little lonely and sad, but I had to keep myself upbeat because I was there to a point where people were coming in and out and I was still the only one there. But one thing that I relied on was my host family. So I was able to make a great connection with my host family, and we do not communicate to this day, but once in a while I do send her a message to say hello and how I'm doing, and talk to her in Spanish, of course, and just like show her how my skills have improved. Your host family are going to be your number one people. My host mom, she would help me with my homework. She would, she didn't speak any English, but she was there to help me, you know, and you know, making sure that you're staying, you know, cleanliness in your space or your room is important, because you have to understand that, you know, it's not your house, it's not your room, but it's a place that you're staying. So you just want to make sure that you're keeping your things tidy and respecting their house. But like I said, making a connection with your host family is very, very important. And I just say this because if you're there longer than other people, you're going to see how sad it is, because like I said, for me, I was there for 6 weeks while some people were there for 2. So people were in and out. And then it was this feeling of seeing people come in, seeing people leave, and I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? So connection with your host family. That's another thing that is a must. Also, going out and just saying yes. And by that, I mean just trying different things, exploring different places. I will be honest, my first 2 weeks, it was very difficult for me to make friends and hang out with people. Although my first day, like I said, when you come back or when you finally arrive in the country you're studying in, it's very exhausting on your body. So you must, in my opinion, unpack your things, sleep, and then the next day. But for me, I didn't. And I jumped right into the city, went out at 8, and I just want to say that depending on what country you're in, the legal age to drink differs. So make sure you're looking at basic laws, basic rules of the country, because those are things that they do not tell you. So you just want to make sure that you're not going to get in trouble or anything like that. So for my first 2 weeks there, I didn't have any friends. I didn't talk to anybody. I was keeping to myself, and that was a mistake that I had made, because that's not something you want to do. But what I would do is go out and explore by myself. I went out and explored by myself, and I would call my mom and FaceTime with my mom, and we would go shopping together, and I would just show her the city as I was looking at the city, because it was, and time zone differences are huge, but for me, when I would get on the bus in the morning, which would be 7 o'clock for me, you know, I was 6 hours ahead, so it would be a whole different time. Being said that, I would call my mom when I would get on the bus and show her as I went, and that was me. And that's something you don't want to do, because you don't want to get attached to the thought of, you know, your parents, because your parents are going to be very attached. So depending on how old you are, you know, for me, I was going into a country by myself at the age of 17, you know, and it was a convincing job to convince my mom to let me go, you know, because she is aware of, you know, my dream and my future career, and that studying different languages is what I love and what I want to do, you know, so it was hard convincing her, but surely enough, she caved. And once I got my sponsorship and they paid for the whole thing is when it took off. So I don't regret, you know, calling my mom and showing her the city or anything like that. I just regret being so attached, because there's a time where you need to let go, especially in experiences like this. You want to take advantage of it and everything that you're learning, you know. And so if you go through the EF program, there's a whole bunch of different countries you can go to. You can go to Japan, Germany, France, Korea, and they all have different schedules depending on like what school you go to. So my school, I didn't go to another, you know, public high school there or anything like that. My school is separate from the community. It's an international school, so there's kids and people from all over the world. And I just do want people, you know, I do want you guys to know that age differences in your classrooms. You know, there was, in my classroom, there was mostly kids around my age, but there was also a woman who was in her 60s, a man in his 40s, and things like that. I think we have to understand and normalize that, you know, at any age you can learn a language, although the younger you are, the better, but everyone is going to do it, you know, so you just have to understand, like, this is normal, this is fine. Another thing is that your teachers will not speak to you in English. If you really need it, they will, but they won't, just because they want you to be able to learn. But I think that's all for my study abroad. I do want to give you guys a bit of a montage of some videos that I took and photos I took with my friends and the people that I met, and still to this day, you know, people that I met there I'm still in connection with and I still talk to. But yeah, welcome to my channel, Simple J Language, and here I'll be giving you the best ways that you can study a language through my 10 years of experience. I'll see you guys next time, and have a great day and learn a new language.